What's happening? Welcome to the 74th episode of the Slapstream with Djordje, live from Slapsville. I just finished a couple awesome shows with Danzig. With my band Tiger Army, supporting Danzig, and it was unbelievable experience. It was more than I could ever expected. Thanks for all of you that came to LA, Ontario, at Toyota Arena and Phoenix. We had a blast. We just announced that we're going to play October Flame shows in October, end of October. I believe it's 28th to 29th with some awesome guests. So make sure to get your tickets if you're interested. I can't wait for that. We're also getting ready for a tour with Interrupters and Flogging Molly. So that for sure going to be a blast. It's going to be in June and September. Check out Tiger Army website, check out my website, and you'll be able to see the dates. And if I'm in your town, make sure to come up to the show and say hello. I love meeting bass players, slap bass players all over the world. Fortunately, all these tours going to be only US, but I hope we're going to be back to Europe and South America sometime soon. Tours are back, shows are back, so that's great news. Besides that, the usual stuff, make sure to follow Art of Slap Bass, make sure to follow me, make sure to follow my guest. All the links are in the description of this video. If you'd like to support the Slapstream, if you'd like to support my work, make sure to check out Venmo and PayPal links in the description of this video and the Patreon. So that's kind of the best way to do it on the long run. And without further ado, I would like to introduce my guest for today. Let me see if he's ready. He is ready. Marquis Howell.
Hello.
Welcome, buddy. What's happening?
Oh, you are, I guess. You're playing all the shows.
Yeah, I'm playing the shows. I'm happy to be back on stage.
Yeah, I can bet.
How have you been doing during the pandemic?
Oh, my arm forgot how to play bass for about a year. The first shows that I came back with Janet Klein, I remember we were doing a show and my arm just halfway through the show, it was dead. It was done. I couldn't solo. It was worthless.
It's tricky. It's like I noticed, like on shows that I play as well, I didn't have a lot of chance to focus on the technique and stamina by myself. And I went straight to it,
Exactly.
Started playing with Bernie Dressel's big band, which is like, fast walking bass. Like,
yeah, that's a great band.
And then, like fast slap with Tiger Army. So it was just like really interesting adjusting.
You got to work out. You got to work out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But it's going to be fine. Shows are back. So that's good. I'm glad to see you doing fine, that you're playing again. I would like to, I know that you don't have like too much time like today for the Slapstream. And I would like to talk about your career and present it as full as possible. So let's start with the beginning. How did you get interested in bass, in music? Was bass your first instrument? Do you play any other instruments and all that fun stuff?
I started out on guitar when I was about 12, but I wanted to play bass. But my parents, they said it wasn't a real instrument. And I'm not sure they were wrong, but I was playing heavy metal and stuff like that back then. This was the early 90s, late 80s era. But, Chuck Berry and Metallica were kind of the two big ones. And I picked up upright bass. Geez, I was in my early 20s. And a band I was in was kind of a folky band at that time called Hobo Jazz. We still play. And our bass players stopped coming to gigs. And because they were just like poor coffee house gigs, no money, just a lot of fun. And so I went over to Sam Ash and bought a little cheap Chinese bass for about $1,000, right out of the box, fresh off the boat. And I taught myself how to play with some inspiration from locals, like out in Riverside. My old boss, Dave Brown, was a great bass player. He taught me some basics, and he showed me, that it's a feasible instrument, that you could actually play it without, having to kill yourself. And that, along with the records by Willie Dixon and Pops Foster, and one particular record by Kid Ory's Creole Jazz Band from like 1952, Ed Garland playing bass on Bill Bailey, Ed Garland's lines are just amazing. He's not doing very much slapping, but he's keeping a rhythm, and he's just solid as can be. It's that revival era, 2/4 or 4/2/4 feel that just chugs along in any band setting, and that's kind of where I base my technique off of. And now I've been a full-time musician here. I moved to LA about 10 years ago, and I've been a full-time musician ever since then, making most of my money off this thing, which is paying the bills.
That's awesome. Like, I didn't know that you started being interested on upright bass because of traditional jazz, and that was the thing that got you into it. And you're still,
jazzy and folky stuff. It really, I just had a lot of good music was in the air, so I got lucky.
That's awesome. I love that period. It's like endless inspiration and too many bass players that I try like to present to the world as much as possible, because I think that they haven't been present in music or jazz music history enough.
Yeah.
And I have to thank to you for writing that great article on Thelma Terry.
On Thelma Terry, yeah.
And all the other fine folks that are interested in music, like Ryan Gould.
Yeah. I got the inspiration for that article from David Apolloni, who wrote a great article about her, not focused on her technique, but just focused on her as a 1920s musician. Wow. But and he got me Thelma Terry's daughter's phone number, so I got to talk to Patty, who is Thelma's daughter. And then one of the first questions I asked her, I said, "What happened to your mom's old basses?" Because Thelma Terry was a bass player from the 20s, Chicago. For those that don't know, she's just this amazing figure, this gorgeous woman who could play like a beast. Gave Gene Krupa his first recording gig, some of them, his first big major label, and just great stuff. There's a check out the record of "Mama's Gone Goodbye" to hear how a bass could really sound, because she was the band leader, so the microphone's right on her, and it's just beautiful. She's very Steve Brown of that era, but it's like right at the same time, this beautiful synergy of stuff. But I talked to her daughter, and I said, where are the basses? What happened to the basses? Is there one in your garage? And she said her mom sold all the basses in the 50s.
Oh,
yeah, it was sad. And she said that when the Gene Krupa movie came out, and also in the 50s, that Gene Krupa came up to Thelma there she is. Gene Krupa came up to Thelma and apologized for her not being in the movie, because she should have been, but the Hollywood people didn't think that it would make for a good story, so she got left out. Yeah, there she is. Yeah, there she is.
So cool. I love those recordings. There's not that many of them, right?
Yeah, there's only about 7, and only the takes from one session. Is her mic really up front, or is she up in front to the mic? And there's some great ones, Starlight and Tulips, but Mama's Gone Goodbye, I think, is the really indicative one of her style. But if you like that style, and then you go to Steve Brown with Goldcat's band, and you really get that thump. It's beautiful stuff.
It's great. And thanks again for writing the article. All right, I'm not sure how many of my viewers, Slapstream viewers, are familiar with your playing. So let's play a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. Does that sound all right?
Sounds great.
Okay. Oh, here's a song this was one of the first songs that I started playing on upright bass. I first heard this one from an Emmett Miller recording. The Minstrel Man from Georgia, a very controversial-ish figure for those that know. But he did a lot of great records, and he had a great band. And I think the bass player on this one might have been the great Joe Tardo, who was, I think, on string bass on this one. I might be wrong, but I think so. But the song is this great song. And when I was coming up in the band, we found an old Dixieland fake book, a music book, and it had the chords of the song in it. So I had to learn it. It was like a Rosetta Stone moment, but it was let's see. It's here's I can't give nobody none of my jelly roll.
All right.
Little chorus. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Since we're talking a little bit about these old school upright bass players, are you familiar with Ward Lay by any chance?
Ward Lay? No.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites besides Steve Brown and Bill Johnson from that period, and I hardly ever hear anything about him.
What did he do?
I mean, he played with Joe Glover and his Collegians, I think it was called. He also played with Annette Henshaw.
Oh, okay. I know a lot of Annette Henshaw.
Like also Joe Tarto and Artie Bernstein played. With Annette.
Studio guys, yeah.
But Ward Lay, it might be my favorite guy from that that time period. It's just
I'll check that out. Yeah.
Definitely check him out. I love discovering.
I'll pull it up in my discography.
All right. All right. So, but this episode is focused on you. So, tell me, how did you develop your own style? How did you learn how to play upright bass? Did you have like any?
Get my discography's on. I'll look that up later.
All right. Formal education.
That's right.
On upright bass, or?
Oh no, not at all. I wish I had. I took some music theory in high school, like not even theory classes. I was in choir, so I tried to learn anything I could, but I didn't really learn anything, except for having fun. But for bass, it was all self-taught out of a fake book. Really, I learned the songs based on what little I knew, and it took years. I wish I had better training when I was younger. I could have progressed a lot faster as far as reading music and stuff like that. But the technique kind of just came. Like, I know I do a few things that some other guys don't do. Like that side, I don't even know what to call it. Maybe you can see it. It's this thing. I don't even know what it is, but it works really well for me. And I remember seeing a lot of the rockabilly and psychobilly guys. They were doing more of that constantly, and they can do that much better than me. So it's kind of a homegrown technique, but I doubt it's unique, but it works for me.
Do you remember who was the first guy that you saw playing slap bass?
Probably my boss, my old buddy, and my old boss, Dave Brown. But he never really slapped very much. But it was really simple stuff, real like rock, country stuff. Mm-hmm. Man, maybe videos of Marshall Grant and Willie Dixon.
Okay, so usual suspects.
Yeah, nothing out of the ordinary as far as initial inspirations. But
do you remember who was the first guy that you saw play live?
What's that?
Do you remember who was the first guy that you seen play slap bass live?
Yeah, well, just probably my as far as big time.
I mean, it shows.
Yeah. I don't remember the first time now.
Oh, okay.
It was me. I was the only one.
All right. And where did you grow up? I mean, I met you in LA. I feel like 20 years ago, but
about that.
You were somewhere.
I grew up in Redlands. Over in Redlands, Riverside area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you were in Ontario with Tiger Army, that's my old stomping grounds.
Yeah. All right.
Really beautiful.
I was wondering, like, I know that I know lots of people from Riverside. And that Inland Empire, San Bernardino area, and I'm like now I can't remember anyone. So,
yeah, it's kind of a black hole.
I think that everyone moved out. That I knew that used to live there.
Anybody that can work left. Like it's a great place to be from, but you don't want to be there.
And now you're in Los Angeles, right?
Yeah, I've been in Los Feliz for about 10 years.
All right. How do you like it?
It's a great neighborhood. I go jogging.
Nice.
Yeah, pissed off the neighbors when I play bass inside.
All right. It's important to have good neighbors when you're a slapper. Do you remember your first band?
Yeah, I'm still in it. It's called Hobo Jazz.
Oh, okay. That's your very, very first band that you played with. Like
it's my first band. I know I had high school bands and stuff like that.
Okay.
But it's my first real band. I had my first band. We played Doors and Tom Petty covers in high school.
What was the name of it?
Oh, geez. Probably like Dionysus or something stupid like that,
All right.
Something real doorsy. But then I had a band for one show, one song, and our band was Endangered Feces.
Oh,
That was a good one.
sounds serious.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, we did a Megadeth cover.
All right.
On guitar I can shred.
Uh-huh. So you were playing guitar back in those days?
Yeah, I was playing guitar. I still play a lot of guitar, and in my band, the Rhythm Howlers, I play guitar. That's all I play.
Ah, okay.
Because I'm the only one that'll hire me.
So, so do people hire you to be a sideman more on a bass or guitar?
Almost bass exclusively. Very rarely do I get sideman calls because there's so many great guitar players in town. They don't need me.
All right. So for people that are not familiar, who do you play with as a bass player?
My main act that I've been with since 2008 has been Janet Klein and her Parlor Boys, doing all 20s and 30s stuff. Very fun. Janet's amazing front woman. And I also play kind of like with Disney at Disneyland with the Five and Dime show there. I'm starting up at Knott's Berry Farm this Wednesday. We start rehearsals for a can show. I'm going to be in the trio backing that up in the Birdcage Theater. And I play happenstance with a lot of people around town. I play with every once in a while with the California Feet Warmers, Jonathan Stout's Campus 5. He'll call me every once in a while. I'm just kind of like a go-to for hire. Holy Crow Jazz Band. A lot of any swing and trad jazz type stuff. If they're smart, they'll give me a call.
I agree. When is your next gig?
I should know this. That's why. That's why I have a book. I have rehearsals tomorrow. Let's see. I'm going horseback riding. You should come. Oh, this Friday, I have a gig over at the Mayflower in North Hollywood. Have you been there?
I don't think so.
It's a cool, like, multi-purpose 1960s, kind of looks like a high school auditorium, but with a bar. Uh-huh. And it's great. Cheap drinks, big dance floor, really like untouched 1960s. It's really cool. And I'm there with Miss Mac and her Mean Men playing like 50s style rhythm and blues and rockabilly. I'll be on guitar on that one though. And I'll be on guitar on that one. And
some friends of mine are playing at the Mayan like this Friday, but nice. Check it out next time.
The Mayan's great. I love the Mayan.
When is the next time? What is the best way for people to find out where you play, where you're getting?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, find me on the Instagram. Where am I doing a good bass show? Let's see. When can I tell? No. See, they gotta hire me. Oh, I'm with Janet Klein. There's a lot of private party. In LA, so much of the work is private parties.
Yeah.
That's where the money is. That's how I can afford this castle.
All right.
But yeah, find me on the Instagram. I post all my shows on there, Mr. Howell Music.
And the website, right?
And the website will have links to the Instagram, yeah.
Okay. All right. So all these links are in the description of this video. So make sure to follow and check out Marquis' gigs and go to one of his gigs if you're in LA or if you're traveling around. And you tour sometimes, right?
When I can. I got 4 kids and 2 ex-wives, so I can't do too much touring.
Okay. So check out his schedule.
Yeah. Come to town. Yeah. Buy one of my records.
Let's talk a little bit about your the different slap bass techniques that you use on bass. Do you use that standard like single slap, double slap, triple slap kind of terminology, or you have your own thing?
I've never been able to catch on to the nomenclature that you all use. Like I can't maybe you could tell me, like, is a double slap is it 2 slaps in one hit, or is like what's that? What would you call that?
Well, I'm trying to make sense of that whole mess because it seems that everyone is using their own thing. So one of the reasons why I started Slapstream is because I want to make sure that there's a way how we can all communicate, even if I'm kind of against that we all have to use the same.
But it's good to have a language. That's why. Yeah, that's why like music theory works.
it's really helpful, like for communicating. And then otherwise, we're just gonna be like, oh, this is it. No, this is that, and I don't care about that part. But I do care about like us communicating and trying to progress with the technique. So for me, the single slap would be just blocking the note, just slapping one string
like that,
without that back slap.
Okay.
You know, without so.
Like that would be a single to you, just the single note.
It's just a single note. Yeah.
Okay. So then the double.
No, the double would be like for me, like slapping it, and
so that would be a double for you.
Yeah.
So when you say double, you're counting the hit note and the plucked note.
Yes, basically I count slap of the string and slap of the palm.
Oh well, that makes sense. I think that's smart because then the triplet is 3 notes as like a normal triplet.
That's one of the reasons.
But then what do you call stuff like that?
I can't hear you really present. Like if you do it a little slower, I can. What are you doing?
I guess it's just a faster. But what would like? It's
Oh, I would call because that's one of the patterns that is not affected by the tempo. So it kind of always sounds the same. You always do dun rung dun dun rung dun, or if you're playing dung 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 dung, it's always the same. So for me, that would be an ornament. So one type of a roll. So I
like that. See, you're teaching me some things. I like this. I like that. The roll. I like that.
I don't like being like nerdy about it, but it seems that nobody else wants.
No, that's not nerdy. It's communicative. The language. Exactly. You're creating language here. It's beautiful.
That's what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
You're doing the Lord's work.
Yeah, and I don't have time for that. But I'm doing it. So basically mine would be like a single slap, double slap, triple slap would be a gallop or triplet. Also double slap could be swing or straight. Then quadruple would be it's obvious, like 3 hits with a palm and then 1 with note. And so now it depends if you're doing it Willie Dixon style, which would be played differently than traditional quadruple, or the Joe Zinkin quadruple, which is usually hits before the note.
Yeah.
All my analysis. I want to hear your analysis.
I don't. That's the thing. I don't really analyze. I just kind of do it.
Okay, show me then the patterns that you use, like from the most simple ones to the most complicated ones.
Well, like the ones we were just doing, like for a lot. Let me put this in some music. So for, let's say, the song Dinah, everyone knows the song. Oftentimes, this is what I'm doing when it's when I'm playing without a drummer, right? For the trad jazz setup. So we're just doing someone's singing the guitar and everyone's there. Dinah, is there anyone following her? All that. And then if it gets hot. So I guess I like how you call that rolls and ornaments. I like that. Ornamentations. So if you call that a roll, that works really good. So I'm going to use that. I call it like a pivot. How my hand is doing that, because I can get more movement if I'm kind of doing this kind of action. This is as analytic as I get on this because I don't do too much. But if my arm, like, see if I can get my elbow in there. There's a lot of this, a lot of chicken wing stuff, and that's just standard. And I'm up here. I'm doing all these things. It's not. I don't know what you call it. I'm up here. Chuck Barksdale. You familiar with Chuck Barksdale?
I do.
Yeah, he did some. He was super showy and he was all over the neck. And those videos of him is just awesome stuff.
I don't think I ever seen his videos.
Oh, there's a couple Cats in the Fiddle stuff that he's in.
Yeah. But I don't think I've seen videos.
Isn't he in the one from the Duke is Tops? I thought that was Chuck Barksdale. The one with Lena Horne, and they do.
I'm very well familiar with his recordings.
Yeah. I think he's in that Cats in the Fiddle one with the where they do Killing Jive. Okay, and the whole band.
Just send me the link. I would love.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It's okay. I'm pretty sure it's him. You know, they don't
Maybe
get
I've
much
seen
credit.
it, but just like right now, I'm like not.
Your mind is elsewhere. But he was, he's all over the neck doing his thing, and he throws it down. He gets all Bill Haley on it.
I know that part because I've seen the photos.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
It's so good. So I like to use the whole damn neck as much as I can. The whole, I try, and I only have one bass, so I can't be too rough. I can't climb this thing. One bass. I don't make enough money to be a gear guy.
Is that a bass that you used on the Brian Setzer video?
Oh yeah, you saw that?
Of course I did.
Yeah, this was the bass.
I'll ask you a little bit later about that, just like for a little bit, but we are focused on your technique. Okay, so we talked about single slap, double slap, gallops, triplets, and then that roll that you're doing. Do you mind slowing down?
It's hard to slow down
and kind of explain which parts of your hand are hitting the bass.
Yeah.
I know it's hard, but do your
thank you for understanding. So usually, let's see, it's like kind of an arm out thing, and right here I'm plucking G with my middle, and then I just kind of give it. So what I'm doing there is I'm pulling up and hitting back, and then I'm hitting with my thumb. So it's this kind of action. And so I think there's 2 slaps here. 2 slaps with this hand, this blade, and then I come back to the thumb, and that creates a nice little syncopated triplet. Or I guess, and in context of the whole song, can be a nice, real nice roll. It's just a little flavor, but when you get it going, it's kind of like you're whipping your hand, you're just whipping it. And
I like it. I like using that part of the hand for the slap, and I specifically like the way Joe Zinkin was using that, and it's cool. Not many people do it, and I think that more and more these days than before, definitely.
Yeah, well, I think people are seeing options out there because everyone's got this is the classic, the classic slap that everyone should be able to do. But there's so much more room, and now there's no excuse not to try new things.
Of course, it's the endless, and now the Slapstream and Slapsville going to provide endless inspiration.
That's right.
Slappers
on out. I can't wait for the DVD box set.
Yeah, I would like to hear you play a little more. I'm trying to condense everything, so to ask you everything and hear you play as much as possible. So
I appreciate that. Let's see. One more. Let's see. Did that one. Let's do something. There you go.
All right. Awesome.
That's the Slapstream Blues.
What do you say?
I call that the Slapstream Blues.
All right. I like that. That sounds awesome. We mentioned Brian Setzer. So you were like a cameo on his video. What was the name of this song?
Let's Shake was the name of that song. Okay. Yeah.
And how did you get that thing?
I happen to know the director of the video, Kai Aaron, who's an amazing local artist up in the hills there, and he does these great great art pieces. And somehow he got to direct that video for Brian.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all done at his house, except for Brian's scenes, which were done elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But it was super DIY. And he said to bring things that shake. And so my son, there's a little blonde kid in that video. That's my eldest son.
Oh, cool.
He's the one that breaks a little fake guitar. And so I, being an opportunist bass player, I said, hey, I have a bass in the car. And so they said, well, bring it on out. So when they used to play that videos at his concerts, I would get people sending me photos like on the Jumbotron.
Nice.
That's me. I'm not on the record, but I'm definitely in the video.
Yeah. So you're the bass player in Brian Setzer's.
Yeah, I'm pretty much Brian Setzer's bass player. Sorry, Spaz.
Sounds good. All right. So I know that you draw inspiration mostly from old school bass players. Who are your main slap bass influences? And also, if you can name like the essential slap bass songs for you.
Oh yeah. Let's start with Steve Brown. His record of what is it, Clementine?
Well, my favorite Steve Brown is definitely Dinah.
Yeah.
And,
Dinah, well, he on a couple of them. What Steve Brown and Mike Trafficante, I think the tuba player, whereas they do this beautiful thing where tuba in the first half and then Steve Brown comes in the second half and just hot, just.
You're talking about Gene Kolja Orchestra or Paul Whiteman?
Well, Whiteman was with Trafficante, but Goldcat did the same trick. It's a great trick where it just because you're in with the tuba, you're a dance band, right? You're just a dance band, you're dancing, and then you get hot. And so slap bass was always like a hot thing. It was like a trumpet mute. It was like a growl on a horn. It was like a weird drum. Playing slap was hot. And so it was a gimmick. You'd bring it in, and you Steve Brown would come in and just do. Or he wouldn't do that, but he'd play hot, and all those syncopations. And so yeah, his record of Dinah, also his record of Clementine, those are great. But like I said previously, one of the quintessential recordings for my sound, or that I draw a lot of inspiration from every time I hear it, is Kid Ory's Creole Jazz Band. Now he did a few versions of Bill Bailey. This one has Ed Garland on bass, Ed Montucci Garland, and Kid Ory and Ed Garland had a kind of a tumultuous business relationship from what I hear from first person sources. Kid Ory's daughter still lives in town here, and she's a really great woman, Babette. And I've talked to people that were at like Kid Ory's funeral, and there's some interesting tales about how Ed Garland and Kid Ory did not get along, but on this record they're killing. And I think you got Minor Hall on drums, and it's just a killer record. But there's a one chorus where the band drops out and it's just bass drums and Kid Ory singing, and Ed Garland is just why don't you come home, Bill Bailey, and he's just walking the whole damn thing, killing it, and it sounds so precious and so perfect. And that's kind of my inspiration, like my basic. And that with Willie Dixon's Big Three stuff, and even Willie Dixon's Feel Like Stepping Out for bass playing from the Big Three. It's just Willie Dixon thumping and laying it down. He's just boom boom, great track. So that's a good one, Feel Like Stepping Out by the Willie Dixon Big Three. But also I love Willie Dixon's playing on Chuck Berry's records because it's purposeful. He's not showing off. He's laying it down solid. And there's one record, I forget which one of Chuck Berry's hits, where Willie Dixon adds a fat button at the end of the session, just like he's the only one there, and you can tell it's him. Yeah, Willie, Ed Garland. Yeah, those are the ones that stand out to me.
No Bill Johnson?
Well, you got Bill Johnson. Okay, if I'm gonna go Bill Johnson, I'm gonna do what is it? With Frankie Half Pint Jackson, he did that great record of, was it Get the L on Down the Road, or Don't Drink It in Here? Don't Drink It in Here. That's a good one. And
I love Bill Johnson. You know,
he's so great. He was like that plodding, and he would slap when he had to, and he did such great stuff.
So many shady things about that guy. I tried to find his
a lot of shady stuff about a lot of musicians, Djordje.
Oh, he was kind of special. I don't know. Like he was.
Well, Bill Johnson was one of the architects. He was the guy. He had the original Creole jazz.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I tried to find his gravesite, and it's. I got as close as possible to it.
You got near.
The graveyard where he's buried, but it's not marked, but it's kind of in the area.
Where was that? Where was that?
I'll tell. It's close to San Antonio. I'll tell you all about it.
Oh, no, yeah.
But it was fun. It was great. I did it like 6 a.m. or something on the tour.
There's a great there's a biography of the original Creole jazz band that talks a lot about him.
Yeah. It's great. I read it. Yeah, it's awesome.
Book? Yeah.
It's awesome. It's the best. Everything about his, the birth date and all the documents. I tried to find those documents when I was when I was in New Orleans, and
nice.
then
At the museum?
some, and it's crazy. It's ridiculous. The guy was the king. He was awesome.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your gear. You said that you have one bass. Tell me what kind of bass is that? What kind of strings you play, pickups, amps, whatever you use.
My setup, I keep simple out of necessity. I can't afford too much. I had 2 basses, then I had to sell my beater bass. My first bass, I had to sell it just because I needed money. But it had a big, cheap Chinese piece of crap. It had a big hole, or like a hole here that I don't know where it came from. They fall apart. But this is like a 64K, maybe 65 that I've had for probably 15, 20 years, maybe. A friend of mine bought it from an antique store for $1,000, and I bought it off him for like $1,200 a couple years later. It served me really well. I haven't had to do a whole lot to it, but I've kind of worn the edges out. It's like been through a rock tumbler. But I try to not hurt it too much. The neck was already repaired, so I haven't had any trouble there. I have a system I'll tell you about sometime where I use I have a clip-on for my phone that goes here, so I can read iReal charts without a music stand. I'll tell you about this sometime. It's a great system. And for strings, I like half gut, half steel. It's a technique that was told to me by the Preservation Hall bass player Walter Payton, who played on a lot of great records. I think he's on Lee Dorsey's Ya-Ya, and he did a bunch of New Orleans stuff as a studio guy back in the day. But he was at Preservation Hall, and I said, "Hey, what kind of strings are you using?" This was early 2000s, maybe. And he said half gut, half steel, and I've stayed with it, and it's always served me well because you got the thump on the high strings, and you got intonation on the low strings. It's got everything. And no specific brand, just cheap guts that I get from India. I think they're sheep, and I think these are Helicore steels. And down here, let me get high. Let me get up high here. Yeah. Well, yeah. So that little box is a Fishman EQ, but it's an older one. Let's see if I can pull it up. Yeah. So it's just this little 2-band EQ. They don't even make them new anymore, so you have to get them used. I recommend it to some people. Super efficient. It's the Fishman B2. They have something better now, probably, but this serves me well. A little 9-volt, and it does the work. It's really convenient. I can adjust myself when I'm on stage, or adjust my sound when I'm on stage. Just bass treble. I keep it, about middle with the bass up a little bit and volume in the middle, just in case the sound man's not being nice to me. But I use that all through a realist. Now my realist, I put under the treble foot, because for me in this bass and previous basses, that's always been the best way to get a nice, better thump out of the G&D. Whereas I think they recommend setting it up on the bass foot for the realist, but I think it was too little woofy for me. As far as amplifiers, this setup, I found it best either through the PA, if you can get a nice flat EQ, or my main amp that I take to most of my gigs is just a little powered monitor, just like a little cheap powered monitor. It's not even very great. And but as long as it's full range, it'll get that natural tone, which is what I really strive for. I just want this to sound louder. I don't want to sound like it's coming through an amplifier. So I find the most natural flat response I can. And since it's a powered PA, it has a full range. So I really like that. And it has an XLR out, so I can send a signal to the board. So oftentimes if I'm playing a bigger room, my little bass amp is just pretty much a personal monitor. And so I can tweak it as I can. And that's it for gear. I think I have a bag, but
do you play with a bow?
I'm not well enough to take to gigs. I don't take that one out. I'm working on it though. My sweetheart is an amazing bass player, and she, two bass players dating.
Awesome.
I highly recommend it. But she's an amazing bower, and she's teaching me a lot of stuff. But I'm working on it. But also, I highly recommend the bass buggy. Do you know do you have the bass buggy?
I definitely do not have it, but I'm not sure if I even know what it is.
These things?
I don't.
I have it just
a
my back. I highly recommend. I'm not sponsored, but I should be. They're amazing. Those things save my back because I'm always in parking lots, and I don't like the end pin wheel. I feel like that's a little too a little too unjust to the dainty qualities of my bass to stick a wheel up inside the hole there.
I have the wheel. I have the wheel, but I hardly ever. I don't remember when it was the last time I've used it.
Well, you probably got those big coffin cases. You got.
No, I mean usually the gigs that I have usually either stagehands or roadies, so I don't have to.
Yeah, they don't care if you have a wheel.
So
but for everyone else out there, save your back and get the buggy.
All right, listen to Marquis. We talked about old school bass players. Are there any slap bass players nowadays that you like?
Ooh, I don't follow it as much as I should. There's a lot of guys on the internet that are kicking butt. Like John Mraz is always posting great videos. But I think there's a nice community of people that are really just like kind of like me, that are really appreciative of the older guys and kind of doing our thing on top of it. Of course, there's who is the guy? I don't know. To me, modern is like Ray Kondo's bass player. I forget his name. That was a great band. Some great bass playing on that. Just well recorded, really, and well played. But yeah, as far as modern guys, besides you, I don't know many.
Thanks. There are some great guys. You should check out all these 73 episodes of the Slapstream.
Well, yeah, all of your 70s of people. But as far as local guys in LA, there's Carlos Reynoso. Do you know him?
I don't think so.
He's the guy from the Feet Warmers that plays every instrument. He plays guitar and washboard and drum. And he picked up bass a few years back, and he's killing it. He's great. He's great.
Awesome. Is he a slapper?
A little bit of slappy. I wouldn't say he's wild man, but he can play that 20 style really well.
Nice.
Yeah, he's really solid with his two beats.
Yeah, and that band had like kind of like little thing a couple of years ago.
They were Grammy nominated with their record with Keb Mo.
Yeah, that's when I thought they would kind of like not like Trombone Shorty or anything, but like I felt that they could kind of go higher up, and I haven't heard from them.
Oh, they're still playing it. They're just chillers. There's a bunch of great guys making amazing music, just kind of doing their thing.
That's cool. I'm not sure how much more time do we have? Like a few minutes, or
just a few minutes? Yeah, just a few minutes. Got to go pick up.
I want to hear you play then, and I have like one more question for that, and then I want people like that are not able to come to your gigs, like to hear you play and slap as much as possible.
Let me do one of my favorites then. Oh. My cables are shaking around since I took my thing off. One more time. Oh,
All right. Awesome. All right. So my last question is like, after all these years of playing, after, being successful, very successful in the scene that you do, after like you did like most of the things that you do, what inspire you where do you find inspiration to continue doing what you love and what you do basically after all these years?
the same place I always found it. It comes from an honest place. I can't be greedy, but this is what I love to do. And I'm really lucky that I found a way to pay my bills with it. And I can support my family in the way that I can with the thing that I love. And being a musician means I can be home with them during the day. I can pick them up from school. So the balance I've found, I think is pretty rare, but it's really wonderful because the inspiration to play this music is the same inspiration I had when I first started listening to music. I still love the records. I love making the music and I love playing the music out there in the world. It's never been a question of, will I keep it up? It's a question of, can I keep it up as far as keep up my career? And a few years back, I realized, after being worried, like, am I going to make enough money to keep this going? Am I going to be able to pay the rent or pay the bills? And then I realized, well, my bills were getting paid all the time while I was worrying. And so I said, I guess if I stop worrying, I'll still get the bills paid. And it worked. And years later, I'm happy as a clam, making great music and having a ball, putting out my own music, doing all the things I want to do and having fun with my family to boot. I'm lucky.
That's the best way to put it out. Thanks so much for taking time to do this interview. I hope
Thank you.
more people going to discover your music and be aware of your great slap playing.
I appreciate that.
And do your thing. I know that you got to go, and I can't wait to see you sometime soon so we can grab
let's get here soon. We'll talk about that stuff.
Yeah, sure. All right. Thanks again, and can't wait to see you.
Yeah, take care, brother, and good luck on the road out there.
Of course.
We'll see.
All right. That was the Slapstream number 74. Can you believe it? My goal was 100 episodes, so we'll see if I'm going to reach that. But please let me know who you'd like to see me featuring in the comments. Do not post in the live chat because I can't really check that after the stream is over. So if you have a favorite bass player, favorite bass slapper that you'd like me to feature, make sure to write it down in the comment section of this video. There's quite a few guys that I want to do so that I want to feature in the Slapstream until the 100th episode, which is slowly approaching 26 more. In the meantime, make sure to follow Art of Slap Bass. All the links are in the description of this video. Make sure to follow Marquis. Make sure to follow me if you're not doing that already. I'm gonna have some really great shows, and there's if you're in the US, there's strong chance that I'm gonna be in a town near you. I would love to meet all of you, all the bass slappers. So make sure to come over after the show and say hello. And if you'd like to support the Slapstream and my work, make sure to check out Venmo and PayPal links in the description of this video, as well as Patreon. Patreon is pretty much the best way how you can support the series and my work. And if you didn't get the Art of Slap Bass t-shirt yet, make sure to get one. So this is one of the great designs that I have available. All right. Don't forget, never fret. And also the Art of Slap Bass logo as well. The link for the t-shirts merchandise is in the description of this video as well. And in the meantime, don't forget, never fret, slide it in smooth, and keep it in the groove. I'm Djordje, and I'll do my best to see you next Saturday as well.